Right, so, yeah, I know I've kept you waiting for this Achilles versus Aragorn whole thing, but it's been a lot more complicated than yeah, I should have really made it. I could have made it simple from the start. Anyway, the obvious issues that were present were the fact that Achilles is invincible apart from his heel, which means, you know, Aragorn can't kill him. But then there's also the prophecy on Aragorn's sword, which was an elvish sword, and that prophecy is pretty much that anyone who wields the blade, so the reforged blades of Narsil, so Anduril, Flame of the West, it can cut and slice through anything, and the wielder cannot be killed. There's also the matter of the gods, for obviously the gods were in favour of Achilles, for a while at least, until Apollo, you know, did what he did with the arrow. And Gandalf obviously had the favour of Manwë, which is the highest, who wasn't fallen of all the Valar. Malco was actually stronger than Manwë, but Alorin, so Gandalf was Manwë's pretty much herald, in the same way that Sauron's was Aul, and then he obviously became Morgoth. But you know, anyway, so Aragorn had the favour of Eru. He had the favour of the Valar and all the gods, because they were against Sauron. Also, Sauron was scared of him, and Sauron himself was a god. I'm going to use the word god just because it's easier. Tolkien didn't really like that word, but I'm going to use it. So, the Achilles kind of story with the gods, you know, he supposedly was also, you know, dipped in the, everyone knows about getting dipped in the river story, either held by his ankle or a leaf wrapped around it, and it made the rest of him invincible. But as in my last video, not a mention of that is in the Iliad. There's also his divine origins. His mother was a sea nymph, Thetis, but that's pretty much as far as it goes. The rest of what we know of Achilles is essentially no different to fan fiction, as the Iliad was, you know, the ancient Greek Lord of the Rings, except they all believed that, you know, in 1,000 years maybe Lord of the Rings could be much like mythology, and Homer's Iliad and Odyssey were the fundamental parts of that. So Achilles was, if you want to stick to canon, he wasn't invincible. He was said to be such a great warrior and whatnot, and it was highly implied that he couldn't be killed, but I presume that Homer meant that just as a metaphor for his battle prowess, that he was so good he may as well be invincible. Well, his skin may as well be impenetrable. The Achilles arrow thing came many years later, Achilles heel, that came through so many revisions. There was a lot of revision in Greek mythology, a lot. For example, for many years, people thought that Zeus was Achilles' dad, but Prometheus, the god of prophecies, actually said to Zeus that whoever fathers Achilles will be better than father. So Zeus was like, no. So that was another problem. So I decided to leave all of the, because even Aragorn is related to Melian, which is Lúthien's mother. He was married to Beren, and Aragorn comes from Beren's line. He was also from Númenor, which meant he wasn't actually a man, he was a children of Ilúvatar. Also, he descends from Elros, which is Elrond's brother, who chose to be, he was basically the first king of Númenor, and he chose to be man instead, and Elrond chose to be elf, because obviously they were the children of Elendil. So yeah, I'm going to pretty much get rid of all the God's intervention, because you could just say that since Achilles was destined to die, then he would always die. So I'm going to get rid of all that, and I'm going to say, just for the sake of the fact that everyone knows about Achilles' skin, you know, that it can't be penetrated, although in the Iliad it does say it was by a spear, I'm going to go down the line of saying that it can't